Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So what I want to talk about in this video is developing emotional intimacy. So intimacy is one of the things that I've been working with many couples over the years, but also as individuals, and it's also something that I reflect on as well myself, because everyone has their own definition of what intimacy is. So when we think of it, it could be physical intimacy, it could be sex, it could be affection, it could be nice, kind words, loving words towards each other. But I think that physical intimacy is probably easier to kind of navigate. So say if a couple is going through a tough time, they're arguing with each other, then maybe they'll just have like sex and then make up sex, as they call it, or whatever it is, and then they'll feel fine for a little bit. Or if there's a chemistry there or there's an attraction there between two people, then you can just become intimate, you can have sex, whatever it is. Emotional intimacy is harder to develop because that's where you really have to do the work sometimes. So I'm just going to give you 4 ways that I think you can develop emotional intimacy. So the first way is to share different parts of yourself. Tell your partner something significant. Tell your partner something which, either something that maybe you haven't shared with lots of people. Maybe it's sharing a secret or something about yourself. That is risky for lots of people because you are making yourself vulnerable in that moment when you share the story that is quite probably significant to your life, and you're opening yourself up to the other person by sharing something with them. But to me, it does create that level of intimacy because it's like you get the feeling that, oh, this person trusts me enough to share this with me. So I've been in relationships before where when someone has shared something really deep and meaningful, especially when you haven't known them for that long as well, it just draws you a bit closer because you think, well, I know more about that person now, but also they trust me enough to share that with me. So it can create this level of like connection that you probably haven't had in the same way when you've had a physical connection. So that would be the first way that I would say. The second thing is to just have good, open, honest and loving communication. So physically, when you're kind of intimate with someone, or when you're just having like affection, whether it's holding hands, walking down the street, whether it's kissing, whether it's like sex, whatever it is, that doesn't revolve any words. Now sometimes it does, depends on what people are doing, but you just feel it. It's an act, really, isn't it? It's a physical act. And it's completely different though to when someone is kind of sharing with you, oh, I really miss you, or I like the way that you are. Like, for a good example is, if someone is, to me, kindness is like a strength or a quality that I really admire in someone. So if I see someone acting in a kind way, or if someone is taking care of me or caring for me, or they're considerate and thoughtful, so maybe they've traveled somewhere and they know that I like something, so they've brought that back. Or if they know that I need a drink, or if they know that I need to be picked up from the station, whatever it is, and they just do those things without me having to ask. To me, I will kind of highlight those things. So I will say, I like the fact that you're such a kind person, or I really appreciated when you did this, or I'm really grateful that you're always there for me waiting at the station when I turn up. So being loving with your words, but also being open to share like how you feel towards the other person, creates emotional intimacy. It shouldn't just be saying I love you at the end of a phone call. It shouldn't just be saying, I love this when you're having sex in bed. It shouldn't just be at certain moments saying, what's needed to be said. I think if you can create emotional intimacy when you are actually constantly highlighting or picking up on the positive things in the relationship outside of like the physical. The third one is, this is what people find hard to do as well, is just being okay in the quiet moments, just being still, being close to someone and not having to say anything at all. I think that creates so much emotional intimacy, because when you can just sit with someone, which not many people can, I find that difficult, or I have in some relationships, and then in others I haven't. In some relationships, I've literally been able to sit with that person without saying anything at all. And the quietness isn't an issue. It's just, we're just calm, we're just like close. But then in other situations, I think for the majority of people, it just it's not, the connection isn't as strong enough to do that, to be able to just the closeness, the stillness. But if you learn to do that, then you will create that emotional intimacy, because what that will mean is that person knows that they don't have to be kissing you, they don't have to be affectionate towards you. You can just sit, you can just be with each other, and you can just feel that closeness. So that's something you can develop. And the final thing is just supporting your partner through challenges. This creates a lot of emotional intimacy, because if they're going through different challenges and you're always there for them, it doesn't mean you have to have a solution, but sometimes you're there for them, and they just know they can count on you. They know they can call you and find some sort of reassurance. That creates emotional intimacy, because that person knows that, you know, this person has got my back. That person knows that, you know, when things are tough, this person will be there for me. So that in turn creates emotional intimacy, because they know that this person isn't just there for sex. This person isn't just there because there's chemistry between us. This person is there for more than that. And I think that's another thing, really. Not everyone works on some of these like little things, like the being a supportive partner, being a partner that compliments, being a partner that is grateful for the small things, being a partner that is reliable, dependable, responsible. You know, it's all about emotional maturity, really. It's all about emotional intelligence and self-awareness, because if you can work on those little things in the relationship, then the physical intimacy will just get better anyway. But you'll also have emotional intimacy, which for me is what keeps people together, really, and what keeps people there. Because at some point, you know, yeah, you're going to fancy that person, and yeah, you know, you're going to have great sex and all the rest of it. But if there's nothing more than that, for many people, it kind of just feels like, okay, well, what else is there? But if you can create that deeper connection, that emotional connection to a person, then it's like you're drawing that person to you with something where they can say, this is sustainable, this feels really good to be held, this feels really good to be in this trusting, safe, reliable relationship, as well as all the other stuff like the sex, as well as all the other stuff like the fun things that you do together as well. But emotional intimacy to me is something which is worth developing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and feel free to share this with others if you feel they'll benefit too. Thanks for watching. Bye.